Okay, hello everyone. So in this video we will cover Transcendental Knowledge. Okay, so that's chapter 4, and in the last recording we spoke about Karma Yoga, which was chapter 3, and we said that it is always better to act rather than to stay inactive, right? So it is the natural nature of the spirit, of the soul, to be active. So today we'll talk about the transcendental knowledge. So in the starting, the God is saying again, it's that you have to surrender into Krishna consciousness in order to uplift yourself and in order to become spiritually enlightened. Then God is also saying that I am Advait. Advait meaning that the self, the nature of self and the nature of my body is same. So people who are ignorant or who are into materialistic, worldly matters, they would see my structure differently from my soul, and therefore so many forms and shapes have been formed, so that is because people are in the material world and they want to associate me with matter, and so they see my body different from my soul. But God is Advait. Advait meaning there is no difference between the body and the soul. So there is no form or shape the way people perceive. Then God is also saying that I am transcendental. Okay, now transcendental meaning God is saying that I created this world, okay, and then 5 sectors of society, but he is free from the results of those actions. Okay, so there are 5 sections that he speaks about as Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. So Brahman, the intelligent class, then comes the Kshatriya, who are fighters, okay, administrative class, so filled with ignorance and passion. The third class is Vaishyas, who are commercial, so mercantile people, meaning who engage themselves in businesses and commercial forms and so on. So again filled with ignorance. And then the last one is the laborer class, which is Shudra, who are completely into ignorance, in ignorance of the material world. Now God also says that the highest is the one who is in Krishna consciousness. Okay, so even if, let's say, you are Brahman but you do not practice Krishna consciousness, or you do not do meditation, which we will talk in few minutes, you are not as superior as the one who has surrendered himself in Krishna consciousness. So again God says that even though I am the creator of the universe and creator of this society and these section of people, it does not affect me. I am not affected by the fruitful reactions of this work. So I am not entangled in the birth and in the death in this process, and then I am not entangled in the reactions of the work. So this is the transcendental nature. So even though he has created everything, he is detached from his own creation. And in order to become that, we have to surrender into the Krishna consciousness. Okay, so it's simply a consciousness. Then God is also then talking about so the one is understood to be in full knowledge, whose every endeavor is devoid of desire for sense gratification. He is said by sages to be a worker for whom the reactions of work have been burned up by the fire of perfect knowledge. Okay, so you need perfect knowledge in order to uplift yourself, and then abandoning all attachment. He talks about 3 stages of attachment. So one, when you are scared of a spiritual entity, okay? Another, when you are fearful to lose any material belonging. Third, when you have a void inside of you. So those are three stages where people are too attached and bonded with the material world. So abandoning all these attachments, ever satisfied and independent, he performs no fruitive action, although engaged in all kinds of undertaking. Then there's also a bit of how to, okay, so we learned that we have to become transcendental, we have to surrender in Krishna consciousness, we have to uplift ourselves and control our senses and minds. But how can we now control the senses and minds? And for that, God mentions about pranayam meaning conscious breathing, okay? So where we are looking, observing the inward and the outward movement of our breath. So and this is what is exactly called meditation. When it is practiced in Hatha Yoga, where we are controlling the breathing process, okay, by observing simply maintaining the equilibrium and observing our inhalation and exhalation. So if we do that regularly, slowly we will start to become balanced and detached from our own actions. So anger, fear, freedom from these vices such as anger and fear and greed and lust and so on. So if we practice the breathing, if we restrain our breathing, and then we can remain in trance, and then we will become transcendental as God is. Then there is also one part where God mentions about food habits. So overeating, again, if we are eating too much, we will not be able to get fulfillment from our spiritual practice. Then God says eating only the Krishna prasadam, so food which is offered first to the Lord. Reducing the eating process is also very helpful in the matter of sense control. And without sense control, there is no possibility of getting out of the material entanglement. Now, of course, in practical world, it is not always possible to eat the food which is offered first to Lord, but we can control in many senses, such as eating meat or eating non-vegetarian food or eating too much, eating at inappropriate times. These things can be controlled. So I think it has been helpful. So it's basically controlling how to become spiritually enlightened, and the practice of pranayam, and also again and again it is uplifting yourself by surrendering into Krishna consciousness. So thank you for listening.